Right, so I get feminism from a Western perspective with within Western society and on the trajectory of how Western society has shaped and developed. Feminism makes perfect sense. Okay, what I don't get and what I'm baffled by very often is Islamic feminism. Now, first, let me say from the outset that I'm a Muslim. I believe in Islam, and I find it bothersome because I'm Muslim and I believe in Islam. The claim that Muslims have very often, that I have in fact, is that Islam is complete within itself. That's the claim we have. That the solutions to societal problems are found within Islam. Okay, especially for a Muslim society, that is the claim, and that is what we believe. That women within the Islamic paradigm were given sufficient uh, rights already. Okay, the extent to which these rights were upheld can be debated. Okay, I mean, there were times in history when Muslim women were not given access to all their Islamic rights. Okay, this is noted. Okay, so the debate doesn't lie there. Okay, the debate lies in um, them bringing in feminism into Islam and creating something called Islamic feminism. It begs the question. Question number one: was Islam not sufficient in its provisions regarding women's rights? Okay, and and so therefore we needed to create something called Islamic feminism. I mean, it's an open-ended question, right? You can answer it. Um, so that's the first. I mean, one suspects that that is, you know, likely the case for Islamic feminists. Either Islam was not sufficient, so they needed to inculcate this feminism into Islam and call it Islamic feminism, or Islam was sufficient all along, but they were too ignorant of Islam in reality and more conversant with an ideology, an extra Islamic ideology, let's put it that way, and so needed to incorporate feminism into Islam and call it Islamic feminism in order to retain both a feminist and Muslim identity. And likely, I think that is more likely the case. But then there's another dilemma, or not dilemma, another dimension to the discussion, which I find often that feminists and Islamists lack. Okay, and that is the dimension of cultural anthropology, of the history of civilizations and societies, and how societies are structured and how they interact, and what are the various social, um, political, and family hierarchies within familial, you could put it, hierarchies within these societies. And that's one dimension that's lacking altogether in the debate very often within the Islamic feminist paradigm, um, and within the Islamic scholars paradigm, because often Islamic scholars tend to see things from a legalistic, ritualistic, and textual, intra-Islamic textual uh, basis, which more or less has to do with the regulations within a particular society and has less to do with uh, how that society, said society, is structured and how it operates. And I think that background information would be crucial, would be critical in the application of law, Islamic law, because very often when we see rulings in Islamic law, what we are often not cognizant of is to whom this law, or in which way this law attempts to, number one, uh, regulate a society. In other words, law has the function of shaping something, and then law also have the function of maintaining something. So to which extent is it regulating, right, in terms of shaping, and in which sense is it maintaining or regulating, and what is the status quo that it is trying to maintain? Because law also doesn't happen absent a context, a social paradigm, a society, right? So unfortunately, there's a lot of ignorance abounds, unfortunately. I mean, I know I sound incredibly arrogant when I say ignorance abounds on these matters. Perhaps I am a little bit arrogant. Who knows, right? But that's just my observation. So the Islamic feminism is somewhat of an oxymoron as far as I'm concerned. I mean, trying to be objective as a scholar, as a Muslim, as a person that's reasonably well read, um, I cannot see how a system that allows for things like polygyny, that talks about obedience uh, to the tribe, or to the the guardian, the husband, um, and that talks about the covering up of the body, so especially the woman's body, and so on and so forth, which we observe in Islam, objectively observe in Islam, um, is congruent or compatible with uh, the prioritizing of individual freedom and agency of any one particular person, in fact. Because I don't think it is evident within the Islamic tradition that freedom is its highest priority. It doesn't really look that way. Okay, what I see as being the highest priority in Islam is, quite frankly, is more or less the opposite: submission, submission, submission to God. So Islamic understanding of freedom is simply that when you submit to God, submission to God, then you are free. Okay, but there isn't a unattached, consequenceless um, freedom, or concept of freedom in Islamic discourses, not from any particular textual reference, not from any particular philosopher or scholar within Islam ever viewed freedom in that way. And so the very, like, the premise, or the premises that Muslim scholars and Muslims, historically, that is, not now, of course, we have a bunch of confused people now, moved from, just was not compatible with the type of premises we are trying to move from in our time, and especially in relation to so-called Islamic feminism. And so the dilemma, guys, lastly, before I leave, the practical dilemma, let's get into some practicalities, is that the Muslim woman who's a feminist will want all the traditional rights of a Muslim woman, which is what? That her husband should maintain her, he should protect her, he should provide her with a house, he should provide her with all the creature comforts that she's used to, quote unquote, according to some Islamic scholars, right? While she does not possess a responsibility or obligation towards him whatsoever. Okay? Because she must be free, okay, to pursue her individual life, okay, something he is not free to do because he's bound by the contract of having to protect and maintain, okay. So this is obviously problematic, okay, on various levels, because it's the mixing of two systems essentially, okay. um, the solution is quite clear, and that is choose a system. Choose a system. There is scope within the Islamic tradition, in a sense, for women to be breadwinners. Okay, albeit voluntarily, right? Because men are obligated, but women can voluntarily be breadwinners. I propose that maleness and femaleness no longer be viewed in terms of gender. It should not be gendered, meaning according to genitalia. So male. So in other words, if the function as envisioned by Islamic law of men was to and is to protect and provide for the family, okay, and that function can suitably be done or fulfilled by a woman, especially in modern times, because women no longer have to give birth, they can use contraception and go work, right? So they don't have to risk giving birth, and there's no children in the way, so they don't have to be the primary caregivers anymore. Then the woman should be treated under Islamic law, as far as I'm concerned, as a man. Okay, so it's not male by genitalia, but it's male by function. Okay, and I think this will solve the problem. So I think women who do have careers, who do work, who do pursue independent lives should be financially liable within marriage. Thank you very much.